Ma'am, I unfortunately do have to one last time refer you to your plea agreement, page 43. Are you there?
Yes.
The second last bullet. Accused 4 being you, and accused 3. I would take it that would be Roux, not Marcel. Identified victims they perceived to have money and lured them to the flat, or they made plans to access those victims.
That's
Who are you?
me and Roux, yes.
Yourself and Roux. So you agree that since accused number 1 faked his death, yourself and Roux were identifying the victims? Because that's just in front of you. The previous bullet,
No,
it says
I'm just
that.
thinking before I answer because of the all accused thing. I have to think first. Yes. So after Zack's death, Roux and I had to decide who.
Thank you. Ma'am, are you or were you the holder of a Capitec bank account?
Yes.
I beg leave, my lord, to just show the witness the relevant documents. You can just confirm the her statements. And just go through that, ma'am. Specifically at the back, you will see attached thereto is an identity document and your details, etc. Is this your bank account or extract of your bank account?
What page, ma'am?
I'm not sure of the page, just let's count it. There where it starts with your transactions, Capitec Bank, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. And then there is details of the accounts. It's like a computer printout.
Can we just quickly number them?
Yes, we may. Let us start.
My lord, may I ask, is this the same as Exhibit double E? Is it the same document? I haven't seen the document. Is it the same one as double E, which is before court?
I did ask Leonard Friend this morning if this is an exhibit, yet he could not seem to say that it's the same document.
It looks pretty much the same. I just want to. Yeah, I think it's the same as double E.
I think the court, thank you, my lord. Then we don't need to mark it then. That will be in volume 1 then, my lord. Volume 2.
Probably volume 2 then.
Volume 2, my lord.
Have you got it? Have you got that volume 2?
Sorry, sir.
Look at volume 2.
The file.
It's the number. And it's double E.
My please
Double.
do.
I have it, sir.
What page?
My lord, may we start at page number 3? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
It contains your details, correct?
Yes.
Let's call it second column. There is a description of the type of accounts and the account numbers. Are you there?
Yes.
I would read out the first account number, 13463959797, and it's open and it's a savings account, correct?
Yes.
That would be your account.
Yes, that's my main account.
Yes. And then linked to that, not the second one. The second one is also linked, but the third number, I'll read it out to you. 1418989531 savings plan, correct?
Yes.
Now please turn to page number 7. The transactions are reflected there from there onwards. You see the first date is 1st of December 2015.
Yes.
Okay, now it should be page 9 where we deal with 27 January 2016. The transactions of that date.
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes.
You agree with me that Mr. McGregor was murdered on the 27th of January 2016?
I'm not sure what date was. I'm sure you're correct.
That is the time that you received the 6,000 rand.
Yeah, so it must be correct.
Yes. Now, the first transaction on that date is a deposit from ABSA into your account, correct?
Yes.
And that would be into which of your accounts? Your savings? Or which one?
I don't know. It doesn't show you that. It shows at the top 141, so it must be the one that's linked to my main account.
Indeed so. And what is the reference there for the 6,000? The reference for payment, what does it reflect there?
I don't think I must read it out loud.
Okay.
I'd probably read the first and then maybe just before start reading it, just
Let me assist.
spelling
Excellent F.
Yes.
Yes.
it. F-U-C-K.
Good, Jesus. Now, that 6,000 rand then on the same day goes out of that bank account. You see that? It goes in and it goes out.
Transfer.
Yes. It is transferred from your one account, which is the savings, into the savings plan, into the savings account itself. Can you see that?
Yes, so that I can draw it.
Yes. And then from there on, from the savings account, you make transfers to other accounts or payments, not so. Can you see that at all?
Let me just check it. Ma'am, can I
Yes,
tell
sir.
you what I see?
Yeah, the 1,000 rand was
I
also
can see
in.
that on this account it just shows that it's moved out. With other words, it's in the savings. If
Now-
you check the savings, you'll see the next day it was drawn out of the savings.
Yes. In total at once. 6,000 at once withdrawn.
I can't draw 6,000 at once, so I can't remember how I broke it up. But the ATM won't give you 6 at once, as far as I remember.
So you
I
went
might
to
have drawn it 3-3 or 4-2, or but at one withdrawal.
So none of this money you transferred to accused number 2, her account.
No.
None
no.
of it.
I'm aware of the issue because my lawyer discussed it with me. Can I say something?
Yes, you may.
Okay. She asked me about it, and then I explained to her. I would use money and put it in that extra account so that I don't use it. I can't remember how I was thinking that day, but I was thinking to leave it in that account because it doesn't look like my account. Then I realized I'm stupid, and I transferred it back to the one that I can draw from, because you can't draw directly from the other accounts. And I drew the money from my ATM the next day.
And did what?
I paid petrol, bought cigarettes, and sent the rest to Zack.
How much would that be, ma'am?
I don't know the exact amount, 5,000 and something for his plot paper.
January 2016. That is your bank statement. I'm
Yeah.
referring you this
Yeah,
transactions.
that month.
Yes. January, let's say give you leeway to February 2016, you withdrew the 6,000 rand bit by bit. And most of it went to
Not bit by bit. I'm sure I withdrew it in a big amount, but I can't remember how much it.
okay, not all at once.
Yeah.
And most of it, the bulk of it, you say went to accused number 1 for
Yeah.
his stay at Dalton.
I can't remember where he was staying in January.
No, ma'am. Your evidence yesterday was very specific. You see, you are preempting my questions because you realize now the money you received in January, you cannot say you gave to accused 1 to stay at the plot. He was not staying there.
I gave it to him for where he was staying and his
Ma'am,
food.
you want us to repeat your evidence yesterday where you said I had to pay the plot. It
Mm.
was a nice amount because it's 3,000 a month, so it fitted me well to pay him for that.
That's
You
what he
spec-
needed a month, yes.
For the plot. Your words were specifically to stay at the plot.
At the plot and at the herberg, it doesn't matter. You
That-
needed
no.
that amount.
It does matter because you are lying. Accused 1 was not staying at the Dalton plot in January or February, early at least, not at all. I put it to you now. You did not give accused 1 cent of the 6,000 rand that you stole from the deceased Mr. McGregor. I put it to you.
I disagree.
You disagree. You do agree over the period that these murders took place, you made transfers or payments into accused two's account from your own money. Let's call it your own money.
Mm-hmm.
You were paying accused two amounts during this time, not so.
For 10 years, yes. Not,
Yes, but
not
it-
didn't stop in that time.
Yes, it continued. Now, you also said, or let me ask you this, that LaRue used money of the proceeds from these bank cards for himself as well.
Apparently, yes.
So, to say that it went to accused one is not correct. Because, ma'am, we will...
The money that he told me he spent on Zack and took to him must have gone to him, otherwise Zack would have let me know that he didn't get it. But he withdrew more. I didn't know the big amounts. There was apparently a 16,000, for instance, and I wasn't aware that there was ever so much money. Then I heard afterwards there were cases against us for fraud because he went and swiped cards and bought stuff. I wasn't aware of that.
Now, Mr. Roux Steyn never mentioned that accused one put pressure on him or John to bring him money, like you testified. There was no such evidence. It's only you again that says that. Any answer, ma'am?
I stand by what I said.
And he said the reasons why the murder started after Zack disappeared was because Cecilia pressured the group for money.
It's incorrect.
And LaRue and John went so far as to say accused number one knew nothing of these last murders.
That's a lie.
How would he have known, ma'am?
I gave Zack my tablet. I had a small tablet, the size, 900 rand tablet, that I didn't use, and I already then had a smarter one. I gave him, I sent it with LaRue to him, and Zack and I communicated, SMS'd each other while
To
he
say
was...
what? Because you chose the victims. You apparently took the money for yourself or gave it to LaRue. What did he have to do with it? To say what?
Ma'am, we communicated about everything, but we tried to be discreet so that if someone reads the SMSs, they won't know who I'm talking to.
So, just normal chatting.
No, and about him needing money and doesn't have food and that type of thing.
Yes. The accused one will deny that. Then you say accused one threatened you. If you don't pay him, he's going to go to the police. He wants to see his grandmother, and he was kind of freaking out. Not so.
Yes.
Now, what was he going to do going to the police? Hand himself over and admit.
Yes.
And then you will be in trouble.
Yes.
And then you told him you cannot do that.
Yes.
And for how long were you willing to maintain accused one just to protect yourself?
For as long as necessary.
Let us move to Mr. Schofield. Is it not so that you at the stage actually, let's say, applied for a momentum cover from Mr. Schofield?
Yes, I said he's my broker as well.
So you had known him prior to his death.
Yes.
You identified him as a victim because he possibly had money.
Partially, yes.
Schofield was killed on the 10th of May 2016, ma'am. Do you accept that?
Yes, I do. I can't remember the dates, unfortunately. Sorry.
And the money involved, according to the documentation, was 3,000 rand drawn from an ATM. Are you aware of that?
More or less 3,000, yes.
And I put it to you, ma'am, that money did not, specifically not, this specific amount, ever go to accused one, because in May 2016 he was already working for himself at Kiaka. That's the evidence on record.
At that point, I was aware that he was staying in a room with a person and he needed rent
No,
and he
ma'am,
needed food money. That was
Not.
what LaRue told me.
not so. He stayed at the backyard of his employer.
Then we disagree. That was what I was aware of.
So LaRue was telling you accused one needs money,
Yes,
and you believed him and you gave him money.
yes.
And you never know whether he did reach accused one.
I believed him that he took it to him.
Yes. Same with Mac Alpine. Murdered 26 May 2016, 1,300 rand drawn from the ATM. Accused one was still at Kiaka working for himself. That money did not reach him, ma'am. Same with Louterga.
Sorry, what's it wants to?
I don't know, sir. I'm sorry if ma'am says something without a question mark at the end. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say yes or no, or I understand.
She expects you to comment on it.
But if I have nothing to say, what must I say without?
You don't say anything.
Okay.
You can just say I have no answer or no comment. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
And Louterga, murdered 30 May 2016, 3,000 rand from an ATM, accused still at Kiaka.
I acknowledge your statement.
Who went with you to dispose of the body? Not dump like you said. I would take that a crude word. Dispose of the body of Miss Louterga. Who went with you? Because I'm sure you could not pick up that body yourself.
It was LaRue and John and myself.
LaRue didn't go along, did he? Because you and him had a fight. He didn't want to.
No.
Now what?
We had a fight much later that night.
So LaRue was in the car, in your car, with John to dispose of Mrs. Louterga's body. That's your
Yes.
evidence.
Yes.
I need to put it to you, and I'm not going to go through point for point, but accused one denies each and every averment of you self-implicating him.
I understand that he denies it, but he's lying.
I also like to put it to you, ma'am, your evidence is in total and material contradiction with that of Lex and John on numerous aspects.
I'm aware of that.
And why would John implicate you again, falsely? Or accuse you? Why would he do that? According to your knowledge or what you think?
I'm not implicated falsely because I am guilty.
Okay. But why would he implicate accused you? And in certain aspects, Marcel as well.
Do you want my opinion,
Yes,
ma'am?
please.
I have wondered about it a lot, and the only thing that I could conclude, in my opinion, is the fact that John, at a time, had been in love with both Cecilia and my daughter. In fact, while my daughter was in jail, he still sent her letters, indicating that he wanted a relationship with her, and both of them have denied him, or what's the word you use?
Shunned
Refused
him.
him. Yeah,
Shunned
shunned him. So in a way, I think it's like vengeance. I don't know. That's what my opinion is. It's the only thing I can think. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
And if accused number 2 testified that she thought it's because LaRue was actually influencing him,
That's also a possibility.
that can't
I
be.
don't know if they saw each other.
Can't be. Mr. Barnard pleaded guilty long before Mr. Roux Steyn.
As I said, that's not something I thought of.
Yes. So, in the portions of LaRue's evidence where he implicates himself or accused 1 or John Barnard, there is truthful. But pointing towards Marcel and accused 2, he's lying.
Yes, he wanted to add everyone.
He wanted to add everyone.
Yeah, he's like that. He's always been like that.
And because he's jealous of accused 1 and accused 3.
Same reason, in my opinion, ma'am, if I'm allowed to say so. LaRue has been jealous of his sister his whole life. When he was in standard 6, he declared his love to Cecilia publicly at a public occasion and said one day he's going to marry her. So he's always had issues with both of them, and he hates women, me included. So I can just think for myself why he would do that. I am not a psychologist, and I don't know.
On that point, you never planned to kill your own son.
No.
Not for policy, not after him, let's call it split on the group in prison. Never. There was no such plan.
No, in fact, I told him before and after he was arrested, and I reminded him that once when he was younger, I also told him, even if you're a murderer one day, I would still be your mother, and I would still love you, and I would still come and visit you, even if I don't agree with what you do.
Now, I take it you care very much for your daughter Marcel.
Both my children, yes.
I'm now specifically referring to accused 3. Lex is not present.
Okay.
Are you prepared to lie to keep her out of prison?
No.
No. Now, if you love her so much, why did you disown her?
I did not disown her.
Explain to us, please.
Okay, and now you're referring to the last will and testament that they had in the dockets that they discussed with me.
Mm-hmm.
At the time when I wrote that was when I thought I was going to be arrested. And I left the last will and testament with my school and with Dries to make sure that if something happens to me or I get arrested and something then happens to me, that I have one. At that point, Marcel was 18 years old. I trusted that if I say everything goes to Cecilia, then she will take care of my children if I'm in jail. If they needed money, she would give them. So it's better to leave everything to her. Marcel was too young still, and Roux too young and irresponsible to leave the money to them, and I didn't know anyone else I could trust to leave the money to. So as I remember, I said everything must go to her. In the meantime, I have made a similar will, but a bit differently because we were arrested, and I said then Roux Steyn must be in charge of the money so that he can make sure that everyone is okay.
You forgot about the portion where you said the following, where you referred to Cecilia, to use as she sees fit, whether my biological children are still in jail or not, and whether she wants to spend it on them or not, it becomes hers. So, if Cecilia says no, your children are destitute.
She will never leave them.
So you agree the document we're referring to was written by yourself, not so?
I don't remember that last sentence, but yes, there is a will that I wrote in my handwriting in the docket, so it must be it.
There's also a extract of a diary of yourself in the docket, seeing that you know this docket so well, not so?
I do not know of a diary extract now.
I just want you to just look at the outside page. I'm going to hand the court and the witness the copies now, just to confirm the outside is a colored blue book. Is that your diary, Mrs. Steyn?
This is a copy of the outside of the book.
Yes.
It
Just-
looks like one of my books, yes?
Just quickly look inside, is that your handwriting? Just don't read it, just page through it, please.
It looks like my handwriting, yes?
Thank you. If I may then hand up the contents, the copies of the contents to the court, my lord, and the witness.
You don't have it.
We do have it, my lord.
It was not yet handed in, my lord. That will then be.
Yeah. Now, there's a mistake with the previous exhibit number. We've skipped one. So the previous one, which was the 105, a plea agreement should be 5 times R, my lord. 5 times Q is the invoice from the hospital for accused on the 1 street.
So the plea and sentence should be
5 times R. So the next volume, next document would be 5 times S. This will be 5 times S.
Thank you, my lord. Just before we go reading through that, when Cecilia, accused 2, your best friend, was asked, what is the relationship with you? She said, we are okay. We are friends. Not like you, my best friend. Are you aware of that? That she's cooled down towards you?
I think that's her answer. I don't think that means that she's cooled down to me, that she's not emotional like me in her answers.
And you are very sure accused 2 is a devoted Christian?
Yes.
Yourself?
Yes.
So your fruits of the Spirit came to light by murdering all these people.
No, it happened now in jail.
So you have now become a Christian again.
Yes, I backslid it and I'm there again now.
And we read in your own words, you were able to live a lie for 3 years by hiding what you were doing from accused 2 according to you. And
Yes.
from your child Marcel and from your employees and a lot of other people.
Mhm.
Now, whilst in custody, did you have the opportunity, specifically now being aware that you're going to come and testify, to have contact with accused 2 while in prison?
Almost never. Once a month I fetch pills from the hospital. If I'm lucky and they're not locked up yet, I might see her until I have to go with the sergeant up again. I'm a maximum, so I get escorted. I'm
So
not
you-
allowed to just walk around in the jail.
No telephonic conversations between yourself and accused 2.
Unfortunately, no.
The fact that accused 2, that is my instructions, asked accused 1 if he wanted your phone number to contact you before you come and testify so that you can talk what to say to each other, that's a lie.
I don't know anything about that.
So you don't have a phone
No, I don't.
at all.
I've been raided recently. I really don't have a phone.
Mm. Because, ma'am, I put it to you, yourself and accused 2's evidence is almost identical on certain details. Like, who is the leader or was there a leader? You are the eldest, you would take the lead. Those are the words. That's one example. But the rest of the evidence overlaps a lot. Is there
So
any?
maybe we think alike?
Yes, maybe. I would put it to you, my surmise is that it seems as if the teacher and you came out and you rehearsed and drilled this evidence into your memory because you knew what you had to come and say.
I disagree.
And you're also, just like accused 2, saying, everybody else is lying, I'm telling the truth. Same story. Specifically with regards to Satanism. Just yourself and accused 2 denies that. The rest, everybody says yes. There were signs, there were involvements, there were rituals.
What's the response?
No comment?
Is it correct that Melanie van der Merwe was a teacher that was with you at the Adelaar?
Yes.
She was actually a close friend of yours at
She
this
was
stage.
a friend, yes.
Your children would stay over with her for weekends.
Sometimes, yes.
And she also testified in this court. Now, she said that the accused 2 confessed to having these spiritual powers, as well as being involved in Satanism, and that she witnessed some of these powers. What would you say? You were
I would
never
say
there.
she's lying.
Lying.
Yes.
Everybody's lying. You said to her, this was her evidence, that she should stop having certain thoughts because accused 2 can read her thoughts, and then you repeated or quoted what she thought. Did that happen?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Also a thumbs up of this witness. Do you know a lady with the name of Melody van Brakel? She started the Cradle of Hope Safety House in Krugersdorp.
No,
You do not know her at all.
I don't think so. Doesn't sound familiar at all.
You never met her at the Overcomers Through Christ meetings?
Maybe if I see her face, I'll remember it, but I don't know the name now.
Now, what do you know about the High Knights?
Must I explain to you what I see it, a definition of it?
Now, what you experienced, ma'am?
Ria would tell us that there's a high day, actually, not they didn't call it high nights, high day, and we had to be there at Cecilia's house to pray for her if it's necessary, and it so happened that on some of those occasions Cecilia passed out, and we had to pray for her, and then that mysteriously stopped after Ria called us to. She used to call us to go for it there, and we were there. And then when Ria wasn't there and called us anymore, it didn't happen because all the rest of the time I was there, and there were no high days anymore.
So, again, Ria was the one convening the High Knights. She would
Yes.
predict it's going to happen to Cecilia, please come.
Yes.
Did you video footage this? Take any videos of this?
There were videos, yes, there was a girl who took a video more than once. I
What?
can't say how many times, but there were more than once that one of the people who were there to pray, her sister had a video camera.
And you did not connect any of this to satanic attacks on accused two.
No, Ria said it was satanic attacks, but I never saw any evidence of that. I saw her pass out and then come to again. I didn't see Satan or anything familiar to that type of sin that you see in movies or anything that I could associate with that.
So even on the footage, which you know exists, you deny that there was anything satanic-like happening to accused two.
I didn't think it was satanic-like, in my opinion.
Mm.
I thought she needed help. There was something wrong there.
Yes. Do you know a person with the name of Mtutulezi Mama, the head of security at the Constitutional Court?
I met him once, yes.
And a person that you refer to as Justice Cici Kampepe.
I met her on the same day, yes.
And your dealings with these people are contained in this little blue book, not so?
I don't know. I didn't remember about this book.
We will go there now.
The 3rd of July was the day that I saw the lady.
Now, yes, indeed, that would be the first page, 3rd of July, the Sunday. We don't need to, but it is in this document or on this page you indicate that you met them. That would be in regards with the incarceration of your two children, not so?
Yes,
And you were unhappy of the way they were treated.
yes.
And you were keeping notes of this.
Well, obviously, yes. I
Yes.
didn't remember doing that, but yes, it's here.
Next page, Monday, 4 July. It seems like you planned your day or what you had to remember, etc. You were going to visit the children at prison, not so? If you can quickly look through that document. What you had to take them to prison is there, not so?
Stockman sponsor, yes, I see that.
In the right side, there is a separate marker lace. You see that?
Yes,
This is what you were going to discuss with your children in prison, not so? If you
yes.
read it.
I'm
And
reading it.
Inter alia, and it's the F word again, I'm not going to say that, but say nothing further, not so.
Yes, that's something I told Leroux when he was in jail.
Something very interesting is the third bullet. Wat is gesê van wie? Sie wil weet. Do you see that?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Wat vir pa sê.
Mm.
I must have referred to the kid's father.
But sie wil weet. What did she want to know? Who said
I
what?
don't know.
You
I
don't
can't
know.
remember.
Okay.
I
Last
didn't
one.
even remember I had this book.
Mm. I would also rather forget it if I were you. I'm going to get to that. John, streep Marcel, getorture en niks KAK gesê nie. So that's the answer you got. That they didn't speak. Not so. Not so,
I'm
man?
assuming yes, there's an arrow there.
Okay. Tuesday, 5 July. Seems like this is the day that you went on the visit at the prison. Right hand side. Bullet. Hou op. F. Confess, want hulle het F. Is that what you told your children? To stop confessing, specifically Leroux.
Leroux, yes.
To stop confessing because the police have nothing. And if you don't talk, there's nothing. Not so.
Yes, because both of us were guilty.
And you wanted to know, wat het jy geconfess? Of wat het jy confess? You wanted to know from him. Not so.
It says so there, yes.
Yes. Ek sou net gesteelde kaarte gehad het, maar toe gee jy meer. Not so. Again, Leroux was giving information that wasn't necessary according to you. Yes. Wat hoor jy van jou pa? That's also for Leroux. Not so?
It looks like it is.
Hou op, maak of jy breinskade het, die prokureur sê dis okay. Who's that?
Leroux, when I found him, he said he got brain damaged when he was tortured, which I didn't believe. And then I spoke to the lawyer, And he said the people at the jail said that Leroux is okay, he's lying to me. So I had to tell him to stop pretending that there's something wrong with him.
Okay.
He even had inmates when I contacted him in jail, let me tell, he's not okay enough to talk to me because he's damaged off the police had him.
6th of July, it's actually just you making a summary of what you thought. I'm not going to deal with that. The 14th of July. At the bottom, Lex besoek. Gedrag in hof 10-10 verlag, maar moenie weer nie. Did you tell Leroux he must stop laughing in court?
Yeah, because at that point it was in the news that they laughed and that it was bad behavior of them laughing. And he explained to me that he wasn't actually laughing.
We may skip Friday 22. You can then, unfortunately this is out of sequence, but this is now Thursday 14 July. Paragraph 3. This is after the children were denied bail. You can read it from the context. Paragraph 3.
Paragraph 3.
C sê 10/10 vir die lag in die hof. Maar Tannie Leonie, sy was Akisha, 'n prokureur, sê jy moenie weer nie. What does that mean?
I have had a friend with the name Leonie that said his liggaamstaal moet sê jy neem dit ernstig op omdat jy onskuldig is.
And C is Akisha. Can you see refer to C as Akisha then?
Ja.
Turn the page, still relevant to that same date. I think it to be the third last bullet from the bottom, my lord. Beweerde foto van vermoorde op Sella se foon. My lord, I do not think I will deal with that. I would leave that for accused 3's representative. Then, it's unfortunately again not numbered. Power of attorney until you get there. That is the document and the testament that we already referred to. If you can page until there. It's also
What
part
page?
of this bundle.
Sorry, what am I looking for, ma'am?
Just page until you see power of attorney and then last will and testament.
I have it.
Those are the two documents we referred to earlier signed by you, not so.
Ja.
Page on, not the page after, the one that says number 1, useful info. It's 2 pages on. Are you there?
Yes.
I want you to look at the contents here. Is different email addresses. Do they all refer to you? Your email addresses on different devices? Or most of them?
Yes.
Turn over the page, page 2 of that annexure. You can skip that. Page 3 of the useful info. Heading, Miss Marinda Steyn. End of all that information pointing towards Ruth. The Bible Ruth, not so. You see that?
Yes, I see it.
Just under that Naomi, pointing towards C. That
Yes.
would be also in Bible context.
Mm.
Next to C, Dr. C.J. Steyn. What?
I see it.
What does that mean?
There was inverted commas there. It was mocking.
Mocking.
Yes.
End of that paragraph after referring to Ruth. Cecilia Steyn at doctor.com. Cecilia Steyn at therapist.net. What does that mean?
It looks like email addresses.
That you know of? Did they exist?
I don't remember this. I don't even remember writing it. You would have to check it. I don't know.
Not sure.
I'm not sure why I wrote it here. I know the Ruth Naomi reference. It's something I referred to more than once.
My lord, that would be the end of my cross-examination of that document. I have one last document that I would like to attach to that. You deny all knowledge of any satanic connections in this group. Correct?
In this group, yes.
Yes. There was never an orphanage that you knew of.
No.
You were not involved with witches.
No.
And there were no children part of the satanic cult that you knew of that you were going to help.
No.
Then I would like to show you the document that I removed from this bundle for a specific reason. This was the last page to that document. Please look at that.
Is still part of
Yes, my lord.
the
Yes.
practices?
I just removed it for a specific purpose. To whom it may concern, in the case of my death, my only wish is to die in the service of God, for Jesus to take me home with him when it is time. Thus you can cremate my body and flush the ashes down the toilet, whatever is the least trouble expense. Whatever I owned pays out money can be used towards whatever is needed for the electus pedeus witches, saved or still unsaved, and druids, and our EPD children. Can't put that in my last will and testament. That is why I write it here. Somebody who knows nothing. What is your comment, ma'am?
No comment.
Because this is contradictory to your whole evidence. Agreed?
No.
Not.
No.
No further questions. Thank you, my lord.
Mrs. Steyn, you testified that during the Ben Dixon murder, you and accused number one were disguised as police people. He had on a police uniform, but you were also portraying yourself as somebody from
Yes.
the police.
Yes.
Now, what was the reason for that?
Because at the time we thought that would be the only way we would have this person open the gates for us.
So it was to gain access to
Yes.
the premises. Now, say for instance you had gone there with accused number three as well, and accused number three at that stage was 14 years old.
You mean Marcel? I
Yes,
get confused
Marcel.
with accused number,
Yes,
sorry.
Marcel. If Marcel had gone with at the age of 14, how would that have hampered your disguise of police officers?
Well, obviously that wouldn't have worked, because if you were police officers, why would you have taken someone along of 14? It didn't happen. But even if we wanted to do that, it wouldn't have worked. It
No.
wouldn't make sense to do something like that.
Now, at age 14, could accused number three, if dressed up as a police officer, have passed as such convincingly?
No. Have you seen photos of accused number 4?
Number three.
Three, sorry, when she was 14.
No, I haven't. Can you describe what
She-
the old was? Or what she
Sorry,
looked like?
has a baby face type of look with the blonde hair and the pink cheeks and everything. So when she was that age, she really looked like she was in standard 5 when she was standard 7 already. She never looked that grown up that she could pass for any grown up.
Okay. Now, in relation to the Michaela Valentine murder, LaRue testified that accused three was with when Michaela was murdered. What is your comment there?
It's not true.
Now, what was accused number three's relationship with Michaela like?
Sure, I haven't thought about that recently. If I have to think back, I think she was, you know, just another aunt that she knows from there, but not really aunt because she's not old enough. So she was like joking with her and nice with her. I can't remember her ever telling me I like her or dislike her, but you know, there's not a outstanding issue about the relationship. I just think she must have loved her because she's there and she's Zack's wife.
Did they get along?
Yes, definitely. I also think, if I remember correctly, Michaela used to buy her presents as well. Hello Kitty stuff and stuff like that. I'm not sure.
Now, during that period, accused number 3, Marcel, was also 14 years old. Am I correct?
When Michaela...
When Michaela was murdered. Michaela's murder took place.
2012.
Yes, in 2012. She was. It
Sorry,
was
I'm eating a
November
blank.
2000
Then what age was she then? 97 she was born?
Well, if Michaela was murdered in November 2012.
Then it's the year that she becomes 15.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that was only when? When did she become 15?
On the 21st of October.
So she was then 15 already.
Michaela was murdered, I think, in the beginning October.
So then Marcel
Marcel
was still 14.
Yes.
Okay, now,
When was Michaela murdered?
my lord,
When was he murdered?
October 20.
That's the only date I remember because
think
I
it's the
have
4th
people with
4th of
birthdays then. It's the
October.
4th of October, sir. Your Honor.
Accused 3, when was he born?
21st of.
21st of October 1997.
She wouldn't be as yet 15. She was still.
It's a month, almost, well, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Almost 14 years, 11 months.
Well, the court so pleases my lord, but not yet 15.
Yes.
Now, ma'am, during that period when Marcel was 14, or almost 15, 14 going on 15, LaRue was, if he was born on the 13th of October 1995, how old would LaRue have been?
Then he was 16 going on 17 because he's exactly 2 years and 8 days older than her.
Now, you also testified that the first occasion that LaRue was involved in any murders was in 2012 in relation to the Jared Jackson murder. Am I correct?
Well, I said he physically killed
Sorry,
Jared
2015.
Jackson.
Sorry, 2015, when Jared Jackson was murdered. LaRue,
Physically killing someone, yes. But I
Yes.
also said that I found out afterwards that Zack involved him in cleaning his car after Nat and them. But that was what I was told afterwards. I didn't know about it at the time.
Yes, I've heard that evidence, but my question is relating to your evidence that the first time that LaRue was involved in any murders was in the actual murder, in actually murdering
Was
somebody.
Jared Jackson, yes.
And that was in 2015.
Yes.
And LaRue was at that stage, how old? Almost 20, 19, 20. Am I correct?
20, yeah.
Now, LaRue testified that you would have then taken Marcel at the age of 14 to a murder scene when Michaela was murdered. What is your comment in that regard?
That's utter nonsense.
Now let's move on to let me just, my lord, I just need a minute. I just need to find a question in relation to this Michaela murder. Okay, let's leave that for now. Let's move on to the mayor's murder.
Yes.
Now, your evidence yesterday, you said that accused number 3 was never present during these murders. It was you and accused number 1 that committed the murder.
Yes.
Am I correct? Now, LaRue, according to LaRue, accused 3 was involved in these murders, and that she actually took his place because he was supposed to accompany you. But at that stage, a few days prior to the murders, he shot himself accidentally and he couldn't accompany you. So therefore, accused number 3 accompanied you.
Accused number 3 was never involved in any of the plans and never knew about it. He's lying. And may I say something, ma'am?
Yes?
At that point, she was writing a matric exam.
Yes.
So I would never have wanted her to know anything that would upset her because I knew she was going to do well in her exams. So I wouldn't even have wanted her to find out what I was doing, never mind involving her in any of it ever.
Now, on the day of the murders of the mayors, where was Marcel, if you can recall?
I know what I went through that day, but where everyone was, I'm not 100% sure. I would, like in the Laatgaan murder, I remember because we were all there in that house afterwards. But with that one, I can't remember where she was. I would assume she was at home, which in her case means in Cecilia's flat, either studying or cooking or helping her kids or something. I don't know.
Okay. Now, the day prior to the murders of the mayors, which was the 26th of November 2015, you testified that there was a stay or a time when Marcel accompanied you to the house of the mayors. Was it that day?
There was a day where we picked her up. I'm not sure what the date was. I know the one day we were supposed to be there and then they didn't want to open the gate because they said the father wasn't there.
Yes.
And we were late. So obviously on that day, I told Zack we had to pick Marcel up. So obviously we're just going to do the meeting and she would have to wait in the car. But then the people weren't there, so we left again.
Okay, so we.
But she was in the car. We picked her up at Mona's after her exam. The timing was such that no one else could pick her up and we had an appointment. So we had to pick her up and then rush to be there on time, and then the guy wasn't there and then we went home.
And according to your evidence, this was the only time that Marcel would have been in your presence in relation to the mayors.
Yes.
Now, Nicholas Meyer testified that accused 3 was there 2 weeks prior, and that she was dressed in a green school uniform, and that she looked like a boy to him. What is your comment?
I
to
think
that?
he's confused because she doesn't wear a green school uniform, and according to me, she doesn't look like a boy either.
And LaRue also testified that he saw you, accused 1 and accused 3, when you returned from the mayors, because he was at accused number 2's residence at that stage.
When we returned from the mayor's, Zack and I, and it was only us, we made sure that we were clean in my flat before we returned to Cecilia's flat. They were playing games on the Wii or something in the lounge, and it was easy to just sort of melt in with them without anyone really asking why we were late or whatever. And it was just Zack and I.
And
Well, except that it's either John Barnett or LaRue who said that accused number 3 had some blood, I think, on the right.
my lord, it was John. I was
John.
coming to that.
You come-
Yes, I'm coming to that. Now, in relation to LaRue's evidence that he was present there when you returned, do you recall, do you have any comment to that in particular?
Well, I'm a bit confused there because I can't remember when he was in hospital, okay, and whether he was then at his house or still in hospital, because at that stage, in that week before or maybe 2 weeks before. I don't remember the dates, unfortunately, with it being so long ago and not having had a diary for 2 years. You get confused. But in those few weeks before the Meyers, he actually did shoot himself. And I can't remember how long he was in hospital and when he was out, but he would either have been still in hospital or he would have been in Cecilia's house.
Okay. Now, there's the evidence of John Barnard as well, and he testified that on that day, Roux was actually in hospital.
I would be lying if I say yes or no. We would have to check the hospital records, ma'am, because I can't remember if Roux was then home already. He was, look, I had a medical aid as well, so there must be a record of it. He was in hospital, and then they were scared that the bullet was going to move towards his spine. They had to wait a bit to see if it was going to, and then they let him out. So
it's possible.
it's possible that he was home or in hospital. I'm not sure.
But I think we heard Roux saying that he was dead of death. He was no longer in hospital on the 27th of November.
But I'm sure we can check it, Your Honor.
I wasn't so sure, but Roux said that he was dead from death.
But either way, Your Honor, he's lying because he couldn't have seen Marcel come back with us because she didn't go with us. So,
And I'm just saying that what he said
yes.
was already at home on the 27th of November.
I'm not sure if he was not still in the hospital. I'm not sure. I can't remember when he came out.
Okay. Now, according to the evidence of John Barnard, he also testified that when you accused 1 and accused 3 returned from the Meyers, he was with accused number 2, and he saw that accused number 3 had blood on her leg.
Now, he's lying. Firstly, it's not true because she wasn't there. And that day when we got back, Zack and I, we went upstairs to my flat and made sure that we were clean. And as far as I can remember, we didn't have any blood on us. Not even Zack, who violently killed them. He took off his clothes and I washed them in the machine and stuff like that. But I mean, I can't remember any visible blood even on him. So you know, if they said Zack or I had blood on us, but no, it's a lie.
Okay. Now, you've already testified that at that stage, accused number 3 was writing a matriculation exam.
Yes.
How important was it to her?
Oh, very much, because she wanted to go and study and get bursaries. And although you get pre-approved for bursaries before the exam, according to your record exam, etc., and your standard 9, grade 11 marks, you need to get good marks in that exam to be able to get full bursaries to go and study. And she was definitely planning on going to study.
And during that period, how much would she be studying during that period of November when the exam was actually being written?
Well, ma'am, Marcel is the type of person that multitasks, but that was the time that I can remember that I actually, for a change, saw her studying, because normally I would be worried and complain with her, why don't I see you studying? And then she says, but you already studied, and she's busy making food or helping the kids with their homework. But at that point, I actually sometimes really saw her study. So in my book, she studied a lot, because she studied when I didn't see and when I did see. So yes, she was studying every free minute that she had.
Now, the McGregor murder, you testified that it was yourself, John, and accused number 1 who went to the plot of Mr. McGregor. Am I correct?
No. You see, this is the accused again. It was me and Roux and John.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know the
I
accused
withdraw
numbers.
that. I made a mistake. Your evidence is that it was yourself, Roux, and John
Yes.
who went to the plot of
Yes.
Mr. McGregor. Now, according to Roux as well as John, both testified that accused number 3, Marcel, was present at this murder.
They were lying.
Now, LaRue,
John Barnard also said that he had parked his vehicle somewhere. And it seemed, again, I don't want to confuse it, but it seemed LaRue first coming out of the plot, and then saw out of the house, and then later saw Marcel also come out of the house, and they both went back into the house.
While we were there, we never left until we left, if that makes any sense. After he was deceased, the deceased died, we had to make sure that we clean up the floor and everything, and we put them in the bath, etc. And then we left. We never went outside halfway and came back in. And no, Marcel wasn't there. John was in the car, and we were inside, and we went to John then.
now you mentioned that the deceased was placed in a bath. How did that happen?
Well, it's the whole thing of, wanting him to be in the water so that the temperature would be influenced so that they don't know he's dead for how long or whatever. So that's why we did it. And LaRue took him under his arms, and he couldn't properly pull him because he was very, very heavy, and the person after they died are more heavy. So I sort of pushed and dragged, and he pulled on the other side, and it was very difficult. It took us very long to get him in the bath.
Because according to LaRue, his evidence was that it was Marcel that helped him to move the deceased
No, I
into
did.
the bath.
And I pulled off his pants by accident, and it was difficult to get it on. So I remember distinctly what I did. I helped him to get him in the bath.
And according to your evidence, at no stage did John Barnard go into the house.
No, John always just drove the car if it was necessary. He was there under the tree, in the car, waiting for us, and when we came back, we left.
Now, if we move to the murder of Mr. Schoenfeld, she was not mentioned by you as being present at any stage during this murder.
Is it not just three?
Accused number 3, yes.
No, she wasn't present at any of those murders.
Now, there's evidence before court that LaRue was caught on a video at the Absa Bank at the Spa Delta on that evening of the murder of Mr. Schoenfeld, and that he was the person who drew money out of the deceased's account. Do you
Yes.
understand that?
Yes.
Now, according to LaRue and John, both of them testified that Marcel was present in the flat at number 17, your flat, and that her main purpose was to wait in the bedroom with John, in John's room, until the deceased was restrained and PIN numbers were extracted from the deceased, and her job was to verify those PINs, or the PIN number from the bank card that was obtained from the deceased.
That's not true.
And according to both of them, Marcel accompanied John to an ATM. Both differed. I'll explain that to you, but they differed with regard to which ATM or to how. But according to John, Marcel accompanied John to go and verify the PIN, and then returned with the bank card, and then she returned to number 1. That was the role she played in this murder.
Ma'am, I was never aware. I'm aware now that there are, and it was shown to me, an ATM photo of Marcel, and I asked her about it. So I only have heard what she explained to me, why she was there.
Yes,
But at
let's
the
not-
time, she was never present. I never knew that she were involved in any way. According to me, at those times, she were in Cecilia's flat, busy cooking or doing homework or doing whatever. If I had known that she was involved,
how do you then explain the fact that she's captured on photos at ATMs?
No, I understand that now, Your Honor, because she explained to me that her version of the story. I don't know if you want me to say, but I didn't know then.
Yes.
I sent Leroux, he comes back with the money. I never knew that he took Marcel along.
But now that you know, and I think you've mentioned this, that she was seen on some of the photos at the ATMs.
Mm.
How do you explain, I think, your evidence before me that she was never there?
No, she was never at the murders or anything where I was. I was there at the murders, so I know she wasn't there. But I believe her version where she says that her brother challenged her to see if she can draw money from those cards and that she believed them to be stolen cards. So,
But the evidence before me is that when the murders took place in Son of Bed number 70, she and John were in John's room.
no, she wasn't there.
Just finish.
Sorry.
And I think once the victims were tied up, she would then be given the cards, and she would accompany John to various ATMs. And after she verified, and she would then call that some cards are working, or the ATMs, or the PIN numbers are working. And she would then go to flat number 1, where she would then hand over the cards to Cecilia. You've now said that you know that she was captured in some of the ATM footages.
I was shown ATM footages.
So
Only when I was
how do you
arrested.
explain, I think, the evidence before me that she wasn't involved?
I believe her, sir, because she explained to me that her brother involved her in drawing. She never knew. Remember, she never knew we were involved with the murders. So her brother challenged her to help him draw the money. Nobody ever verified PIN numbers. That's the thing. And I think he was maybe scared that he won't get to be able to draw the money. I don't know why he involved her. But he challenged her and he involved her. But she never had any contact with me in connection with it, or saw me at the murder scene, or I never saw her, and he never told me that he involved her, and neither did John, because they were, between the two of them, supposed to get rid of the body firstly, and secondly to draw the money. I never wanted to go to an ATM. I was scared of being captured on camera.
The impression I think that I got was that before the deceased were killed, they first want to verify that the PIN numbers that were given were correct. And once that verification came through, it's then that the deceased would be killed. That's the
One
impression.
of the instances, I can't remember which of the three, John actually went to a garage close by to make sure, because I didn't believe the deceased that the PIN was correct. But no, there was never a case of Marcel verifying anything for us. She was never there. Leroux and John did all the drawing according to me. I only found out about Marcel being involved later.
At what stage John and Leroux then do the withdrawals? And where were you?
I had to clean up the flat and make sure there's no evidence there. After they put the body in the bin and put it in the car, and then I would get into my car and drive and go and get rid of the laptops and stuff, and they would go in the person's car and park it at the school, the one, and the other one on the other side, separate. They walked back, but then park it at the school, and then I would drive in the area. After I dumped the stuff in the dam, I drove in the area and then picked them up when they left the car and walked there, and that's how it went.
You see, because John's Leroux's testimony before me is that he would be given SIM cards by Cecilia,
The bank.
secretary,
Mm-hmm.
and he would later then go to the ATMs to withdraw money. And thereafter, he would go the next day again to see if the SIM cards or the accounts were frozen.
Sir, he had to draw the money, yes, but we took the cards from the deceased people at the scene, and then I never saw them again. They were never leaving his hands, and then he had to draw the money. So
Who took the cards?
I took the stuff from the people,
Not
and
about the cards. Who took the cards?
well, in some cases I took the cards and the jewelry, and then I gave it to him. I mean, I never left with it, but I took the stuff out of there. purses and stuff.
You see, because John's LaRoux's testimony is that he gave those cards to accused number 2.
No, he's lying. I remember where I dumped everything that we left, and the only thing we were supposed to keep was the bank cards to draw money. Not the laptops, not the phones, or the things that are on the list, except one ring we did go in exchange for the diamond. Your Honor, because he's always been like that. He doesn't want to suffer alone. He wants everybody else to go down with him. And definitely he doesn't want his sister, who's never been involved, who's been protected from this, to be outside and having a life, and he doesn't have one. That's my opinion.
My Lord, I just need to clarify something. In terms of or in relation to the evidence before court, well, the court and the witness. The evidence before court, the exhibits in relation to the video footage at the ATMs on the various dates. On the 10th of November 2015, the date of the murder of Mr. Charleville, in 2016 now, the date of the murder of Mr. May, the 10th of May 2016, the date of the murder of Mr. Charleville. The video footage is clear that the person drawing money is Roux. It was not at the time of the murders, a bit later during that evening, but there's no evidence that accused number 3, Marcel, was at an ATM drawing money.
But I think I was responding to what she said, that she later saw that there was some footage showing Marcel who drawing the monies.
Yes, but
And I was just asking to clarify that if
yes, my Lord, maybe it will become clearer now, because on the following date of the McAlpine murder, the 26th of May 2016, again there was video footage, and that's evidence before court that the person drawing money is Roux. Marcel is not seen on any video footage during those 2 dates. The only date that Marcel was caught on the video footage drawing money is the 30th of May 2016, on the date of Miss Hannelie Lautergan's murder. Now, Marcel, she has a version, and she will, and it was put to the witnesses, and she will obviously testify in relation to that. Now, in relation to that, were you aware of at any stage of the bank card of Miss Lautergan passing your hand or LaRoux's hand in number 17 Costana Flats to accused number 3?
No. LaRoux had the cards, and he had to go and draw the money. And I'm not aware that he ever gave it to Marcel, and I never was aware of it until I was in jail already. And I only know that there's footage because they showed me in the docket there's one photo of Marcel there. And to me, that's just a photo of her at the ATM. I don't even know which day it was or which. So no, I'm not aware of any of that.
Now, in relation to both John and LaRoux, they also differ with regard to how accused number 3 and John would go to the bank to verify, and also which bank they went to. Because according to John, he testified that on all 3 of these occasions, Marcel and him would go to the garage ATM near to your house, and the ATMs would then be verified. I mean, the PIN numbers would then be verified.
I sent John to that one close to our house once. John.
Yes,
I
which
sent John
instance
there.
was that?
And I don't know which of the 3 it was. I know I didn't believe that it was the correct PIN, and I sent John there. But it wasn't a good idea because there are cameras at that garage. I wasn't sure about it. All the other instances, I didn't know where they go to draw money. They just took the car and went, and I think in Krugersdorp West. I'm not sure where.
Because then the evidence of LaRoux is that on all 3 of these occasions, John and Marcel would go to the bank in Krugersdorp West with your motor vehicle. John would drive Marcel to the to the ATM.
It's like I explained. I would pick them up after we left the car of the deceased somewhere, and in one case they walked back from Silverite, but then they would take my Hyundai and go and draw money and come back with my car.
I
But it was
understand-
LaRue and John.
I understand that. That's when the money was actually withdrawn. Am I correct? On the
Well,
first one.
he tried more than once every time because sometimes didn't come right the first time, and then other times you can only like after 12 o'clock draw again if you drew too much. So yeah, on each occasion he tried to draw money more than once. It's just I thought that he got rid of the cards after we got the money, and apparently he didn't.
But what I'm putting, or what I'm, the question,
Yes, sorry, ma'am.
Ms. Steyn, is this. According to John, Marcel and him walked to an ATM close
No.
to your house, and according to LaRue, the two of them drove to verify the pins to Krugersdorp West.
Well, as far as I know, every time that we killed someone and the cards we used, they used my car to drive to the ATM somewhere in Krugersdorp West, I don't know where. And on the day that I sent John to the garage down there, I don't remember whether he took my car, which I would think would be better, or walked down. I'm not sure.
And would that,
And
that
then he would be on
only
the street
after
cameras
the-
as well, walking down.
So is it your evidence then that that would be after the actual murders and the bodies were done?
The walking down to the garage one at our house.
No, the driving
The
in the
dri-
motor vehicle.
Yes.
Now, you've also in exhibit 5 times R, your plea and sentence agreement, you've also pleaded guilty to the count of racketeering and the alternative thereto. Do you agree?
Sorry,
It's
which
on
exhibit
page-
is that?
Okay, on page 9. No,
Sorry, I'm lost. I know what it looks like, but I don't see it there. Was it in one of the files? The
no, it's an
alphabet
exhibit that was
ones.
handed up to you by my learned colleague. Your plea agreement, plea and sentence.
Oh, my plea agreement?
Yes.
Oh, is it in that one? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
It's on page 9.
Sorry.
Did you ask about what counts?
Yes, I'm asking
What
about.
page, page 7. Corporate one is racketeering.
Yes, racketeering.
Amended
Correct.
racketeering offense.
Correct. You have that? Can you see that?
Page 9.
Page 7 and page 9.
I have them.
Yes. Now, you testified that, or according to your evidence, the members of this enterprise included yourself, LaRue, accused number 1, and John Barnard. Am I correct?
Yes.
Because according to you, accused number 2 and accused number 3 were not involved. They had no knowledge of any of these crimes that they
That's
committed.
correct.
Now, accused number 3, Marcel, is also charged with a count of intimidation, a count of willful causing of an explosion, and a count of malicious injury to property. Now, these are all in relation to certain bombs that were thrown amongst vehicles at 11 Kelly Street, Noordheuwel, where certain meetings were taking place with Ria and her group. And also, there was a bombing which took place at a church in Randburg. where petrol was thrown into the church and set alight, and damage was caused to the church.
I'm aware of it.
Now, accused number 3 is also charged on these counts, and the evidence against her is basically Roux, who testified that when these bombs were being manufactured by him, and he said all accused were present at accused number 2's premises, and when these bombs were being manufactured, accused number 3 or she assisted in the manufacture, and she was also playing around with these devices.
It's a lie.
Now, can you explain why you say it's a lie? At that stage, it was in 2012 when these bombs were being manufactured, according to Roux, and accused number 3 would have been 14 years old. The premises of accused number 2, there were also other children present in that house, and how would this be possible?
No, it would not be possible. As you said, Marcel was 14 at that stage, and Marcel has always been around with Cecilia's children there in the house. And from when she was 14, I let her actually live in Cecilia's flat. And I lived close by. So she was there at times that I was not there, but that was mostly after 9 or 11 at night. I was there after school until then. So I think I was aware of what Marcel did. And if she was involved in anything like that, I would have freaked out, because I made sure Marcel never got involved in anything. She never even slept over at friends. She never went anywhere. She was there. She went to school and she went home. That's it.
Now, Roux also testified that at that stage, after these devices were manufactured, accused number 3 was part of the people who went and threw these devices at the premises at 11 Kelly Street, Noordjava. And also, she was present when the petrol was thrown at the church and set alight.
I do not think that's possible, because then I would have known of it.
He also said that accused number 3, at that stage, the reason why he didn't accompany them to throw these devices is because he was busy taking care of accused number 2 at the time.
So it's an utter lie. So he was saying his sister went and he didn't go and there were bombs thrown. No,
Yes.
it's an utter lie, and it's not practical at all. It's
Also
not a good lie.
I
Put it
also
that
heard
way.
your evidence, ma'am, yesterday when you
What
said
would be a good lie?
It's not a good lie, sir, because it's obvious. Nobody would ever at that stage have asked him to look after Cecilia.
But how do you know that?
Because I remember what the circumstances were in those days, and I would never have trusted, even if Cecilia was sick at that stage, which she most probably was. I think that was the year that she went for all the bronchoscopies. I would not have asked him to look after. It was never necessary for him to look after. So how would I not know? My 14-year-old daughter is going on some expedition throwing bombs, but my son that I wouldn't trust with Cecilia is now with Cecilia looking after her, and my daughter is gallivanting. It's not a good lie.
Except when he says that your daughter was accompanied by you and Marcel.
But he's lying. I know I wasn't there, so then I know Marcel wasn't there, because I would have known if she was in the streets.
Do you remember where exactly you were under the impression?
No, sir, I don't think that's possible, but I remember at the stage when all those things were an issue, because they arrested me at some point for all of that. I remember then that I was visiting Cecilia in the hospital, but I don't know if it was that day, but I remember telling them they can check with the hospital's cameras, because in that week sometimes she was still in hospital and at home across the street. So I spent most of my time with her at that point.
now there was also evidence that at the scene of the bombing at 11 Kelly Street, Noordjava, one of the witnesses saw 3 people jumping over the wall. And her evidence was that the people she saw were adults. She never saw a child as being one of those 3 people. Now, your evidence that at the age of 14, accused number 3 was Steyn. She was a girl. You could see she was a child.
Yes, definitely.
And if there's evidence that these 3 people were dressed in hoodies, would you still be able to, or in your opinion, to distinguish a 14-year-old such as accused number 3 from adult people also wearing hoodies?
Well, my guess would be if you took her at that stage and you put her in the same clothes as other people, she would be the thin, tallish, thin one that looks like a giraffe running away. She used to be very, I think gangly is the word. Lank and lomp.
The question I'm asking is, would you have been able to see that it was a child even if she was wearing a hoodie?
I think so, yes, because she would be smaller than the others, but I don't know. I wouldn't know what she would look like in a hoodie between other people, and depending the size of those grown-ups. I don't know how you see the grown-ups if they're wearing hoodies. I'm not sure I understand the people's evidence.
My lord, I see it's lunchtime. You can take your journal. I still have quite a few questions. My lord?
I don't think we're finished tomorrow.
I can't, well, it depends on, obviously on what happens today.
Cross-examination is still going to be quite clear.
Well, no, I don't
Not
have
yours,
that
I
much,
think,
yes, I suppose so, yes. You can't preempt
Well,
that.
let's see, is there maybe a possibility to start early tomorrow morning?
My lord, I think we must try and endeavour that to arrange that we can start earlier, in view of the fact that it's the last possible day. So I think we'll try and arrange with the prison authorities that they all bring them earlier, so that maybe we can start at 9.
Can we also maybe sit later today? Also try to sit at least to 3:30.
What time must they leave?
3:30.
3, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then they've got to leave.
Can we take maybe half an hour to lunch?
Yes.
What time's it?
1 o'clock.
You can come back at that. Get adjourned, so again, you can't discuss this.
All right.
We don't have to